The EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, Kaja Kallas, does not rule out the presence of foreign troops in Ukraine. She also believes that Europe can play a role, according to ANSA. So far, the discussion has centered on which countries are ready to send soldiers to Ukraine and which are not. I believe that nothing can be ruled out and a certain strategic ambiguity should be maintained in this matter, Kallas said in her first interview in her new position. In her opinion, Europe could play a role if it is possible to reach a ceasefire with the need to send troops to verify its observance. In any case, the choice in this regard remains with Ukraine, she added. She also said that she is already building bridges with the future new US administration. But when I hear reports from member states that have had talks with the Trump administration, they no longer say that ending this war is easy. Maybe we should ask ourselves if the ceasefire is useful to the Russians so that they don't give up their goals. Because Ukraine is having a hard time right now, but we are overestimating Moscow. Their economy has entered a difficult phase. Sanctions, deficits, inflation, and a shortage of personnel. Kallas said and emphasized that supporting Ukraine is in the interests of the United States, as a victory for Moscow would strengthen China, Iran, and North Korea. In the summer, French President Emmanuel Macron suggested that NATO forces could be deployed to support Ukraine. This sparked a broad discussion among the allies. However, it was not about participating in combat operations, but about the work of military instructors. Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, and Canada said they were ready to discuss options. According to Le Monde, after Donald Trump's victory in the US election, discussions resumed. In particular, Paris and London may allegedly lead a foreign military contingent. According to the sources, the debate is classified, but the discussion of the possible deployment of both regular troops and private military companies has intensified. Meanwhile, British Foreign Secretary David Lammy said that the position has not changed and that London does not intend to send troops to Ukraine. To recap, the idea of European troops is likely to be included in Trump's plan. According to The Telegraph, the new American president may call on the European Union and the United Kingdom to send troops to secure a buffer zone between Ukraine and Russia along the demarcation line if a truce is reached.
The Syrian military rushed reinforcements to the northwest and launched airstrikes Sunday in an attempt to push back insurgents who seized the country's largest city of Aleppo, as Iran pledged to help the government counter the surprise offensive. Iran has been a key political and military ally of Syrian President Bashar Assad in his country's civil war, but it was unclear how Tehran would support Damascus in the latest flare-up. Insurgents led by jihadi group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham launched a two-pronged attack on Aleppo and the countryside around Idlib on Wednesday, before moving toward neighboring Hama province. On Sunday, government troops created a strong defensive line in northern Hama, as they attempted to stall the insurgents' momentum, according to Britain-based opposition war monitor the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. Meanwhile, jets pounded the cities of Idlib and Aleppo, killing at least 25 people, according to the Syrian civil defense group that operates in opposition-held areas. The surge in fighting has raised the prospect of another violent, destabilizing front reopening in the Middle East at a time when Israel is fighting Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon, conflicts that have repeatedly threatened to ignite an even wider regional war. It also risks drawing Russia and Turkey, each with its own interests to protect in Syria, into direct heavy fighting against each other. The insurgents announced their offensive Wednesday, just as a ceasefire started between Hezbollah and Israel that raised some hope tensions in the region might be calming. The surprise offensive is a huge embarrassment for Assad, and it comes at a time when his allies Iran and groups it backs and Russia are preoccupied with their own conflicts. According to a statement from Assad's office, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi reassured the Syrian leader during a visit to Damascus that Tehran was ready to support the government in their counteroffensive. Arab leaders, including Jordan's King Abdullah II and United Arab Emirates President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, have also called Assad to express their solidarity. Late Sunday, multiple Western governments jointly urged a de-escalation by all parties and protection of civilians and infrastructure, to prevent further displacement and disruption of humanitarian access. The statement by the US, UK, French and German governments said they were watching the situation closely and that the escalation underscored the urgent need for a political solution.